On this episode, we take care of some more maintenance items under the hood of our 325i. Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you yet again as we continue our voyage into restoring this BMW 325i. So, timing belt, water pump, all that major stuff has been taken care of, but we still got a few items that I didn't detail that I really want to show you. These are pretty important maintenance items that we should do under the hood. Those include doing a valve cover gasket, and we'll probably paint the valve cover while we have it off because that's just what we do all the time in here. We'll also take care of the air filter. That's a regular thing. Who knows when the last time that was done? Probably a safe bet that it needs to be done. And we'll take care of the thermostat. Since we did refresh all the coolant hoses, why not upgrade that thermostat by putting in a fresh one? Because I have a feeling the one in there is original. So let's get under the hood and get some work done. And here we are looking at this beautiful inline six in our BMW 325i. It's time to pull this valve cover. It looks like you might have to do more, but it's really not that bad, I promise you. These plug wires can come out pretty easily. They're using the same bolts, all of which are 10mm around the valve cover, holding them in. So we can do those first, slide that out of the way. There is one hose back here you're gonna be concerned with, so it looks like a flathead, and just prying that off. You also have to get rid of this bracket that holds the intake manifold to the valve cover. You should be able to just remove the bracket by removing these four 10mm bolts. And then the valve cover should come off. I don't know when the last time this was taken off. Like I always say when I take a valve cover off, hopefully we see a nice golden color under there. We don't want to see a lot of like dark oil deposits or sludgy oil under there, and that'll indicate how well this engine has been taken care of. So let's go ahead and take this off. Look at that valve cover area, guys. It's unbelievable. This is definitely one of the cleanest I've ever seen in my life. This is a 30-plus-year-old car with 120,000+ miles on it. You can see the cam down there, the rocker arms, everything, the rockers. Wow. You can see here the valve cover. Yeah, definitely old. Good time to replace it. But wow, look at that beautiful inline six valve train, guys. Time to pull the old valve cover gasket off. As you can see, there are two hard plastic pieces here. You'll see them a lot better when I get this out of the way. Yeah, this is rigid. Basically feels like plastic, so that's why she's been leaking a little bit. That'll happen. This old rubber only lasts so long, but still in good shape, never broke. You'll see these two pieces right here. These actually get replaced. There's two on each side. You replace those at the same time as you replace your valve cover gasket, because you can develop leaks there also. And here's what we'll be replacing with: an L-Ring brand valve cover gasket. Highly recommended for this engine. I'm gonna slap that bad boy on there. And here are the rocker arm shaft ends, the plugs that go on each side. There's gonna be 4 in here. Make sure you're ordering those when you are replacing your valve cover. Doesn't make any sense to replace your valve cover and these are old and crusty and leaking, so we're gonna go ahead and do that at this time too. Well, we can't just slap a new valve cover gasket on there and call it a day, can we? This thing needs to be cleaned up. It's paint's kind of peeling in some areas, really dirty, just, 30+ years of wear and tear. Let's sand this bad boy down, clean it up, and give it a fresh coat of paint before we slap it back in our wonderful engine bay. To have a valve train that's that clean and looks that good, it definitely deserves to have a matching valve cover. So let's get to it. All right, we're gonna remove these rocker arm shaft end plugs here. They are hardened plastic. We're gonna replace it with some new ones. So you can use pliers usually. Hopefully they're not on there too hard. They can get kind of stuck on there a little bit, as you can see. There we go. Yeah, it looks like they might have used a little silicone or RTV to hold them in. We'll clean that up, but yeah, these are at least, no, they're getting really hard and plasticky, and that's time to do it. What happens if you don't replace them? just like a camshaft seal, it'll just leak in that part of the engine and go down. So that's why we replace these things. We have 4, there's 2 in the front here and then 2 in the rear. Let's go ahead and swap them out. What you're gonna wanna do now is grab a clean shop rag and kind of just get down in there. And the other ones don't need anything else, they just simply drop right in. The rears are completely identical to the front and vice versa, so you don't have to worry. Usually get them in a pack of 4 like I did here from FCP Euro. This wider front, it kind of looks like a shield, versus the rear will go inside the valve train area. So just kind of snap it down like that. Great fitment. Yep, and that's how they go. A lot more pliable than the ones I took out. You want to make sure they're all the way down in there, and then they have grooves that will line up with your valve cover to create an oil-tight seal. Awesome. I'm going to do the rears next. I don't really need to show you guys that, but it's the exact same thing, so make sure you're doing that when you're doing your valve covers. All right, we've got our rocker arm end plugs on the front and the rear of our beautiful inline 6, and still look how beautiful that area is. Time to place our new valve cover gasket on, so no RTV needed in this application, friends. Now when you're tightening down your valve cover on this particular engine, and any valve cover in general, just to keep the gasket from getting stretched or squeezed or pinched, you start from the middle and work your way out in kind of a cross pattern and kind of work your way out, and that way it distributes the force that you're putting down on this. Now there is only a few foot-pounds of torque. This is an aluminum valve cover that's going on an aluminum head, so we don't want to be too intense with our torque specs here. So we're going to go nice and easy. But let's get that freshly painted valve cover on. Tighten the nuts down. We have 10mm nuts, 8 of them, starting again from the middle, crossing over each time. And then after that, we'll connect that breather hose, and remember that we need to put our bracket back on that connects to the intake manifold. And don't forget these guys. Your plug wires are on this little plastic case that uses the same studs as the valve cover to hold them down. So make sure you put that back in place before putting these nuts on, or you have to do it twice. Time to check on our air filter. Probably go ahead and replace it. Chances are it's dirty. So real simple on this car, you've got 2 10mm nuts you're gonna remove, and that'll free the unit for the most part. You also have to disconnect this hose using a flathead. And down here there's a secondary air feed, kind of a cold air feed that you can slide off the airbox. After that, the whole airbox is gonna come out. Obviously, don't forget to disconnect your sensor right here. It's a very simple design. Push down, set it aside. Real easy. So let's get these 2 10s and this band off and pull this unit out. Let's crack open this air intake box together and see what kind of treasures we find within. Should be just a few clamps. Okay, filter looks pretty clean on this side. Oh. Yeah. That's a bad sign. There were some mice living under the hood in this vehicle, and yep, all nuts and stuff in there. Great. Oh, I am gonna thoroughly clean this out. That is not good for business when your intake box looks like that, folks. Yeah, look at that. So let's get in there and clean this out thoroughly. After seeing the Mouse's cafeteria inside the airbox, I'm gonna go ahead and take this hose off as well, clean it down. I don't think the Mouse could actually get to this part, but it's probably pretty gnarly. I'm guessing the throttle body's pretty ugly too, so just gonna release these 2 clamps, pull it off, and we'll get in there and clean the throttle body area. Really nice and clean in the throttle plate area now, so much happier with that. Should help the car run a little smoother too. Time to drop a new Wix air filter into this air box. Now that it's been cleaned up and our BMW can breathe a little more freely. Clean air filter. Nice and easy. Then we're gonna clamp on the top. Time to drop our air box back into the car. Don't forget to plug your harness back in. Boom, fresh air filter for our nice engine and a clean throttle body. It's time to replace the thermostat on our E30 325i. Thermostat lives inside the thermostat housing, which is located right here at the front of the engine. For our replacement, we're gonna go with a MAL replacement thermostat in the same temp range, pretty much OEM quality. You don't wanna mess around with this and change temperatures unless you're doing some crazy tuning or aftermarket stuff to your car. So we're just gonna go ahead and put the replacement thermostat in here. So super easy to access that. Coolant's already been drained out of the car, obviously, radiator's not here. But we've got 3 10mm bolts. We're gonna pull those out. This doesn't have a paper sealing gasket or anything in this area, it's just a rubber gasket, an O-ring that actually goes around the thermostat on these cars. So pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and take it out. All right, let's see what's living under here. Okay, we're not looking too old. A little crusty in there, but you cannot judge a thermostat just by looking at it, I can tell you that much. A little dirty. Gasket's in there pretty good. Okay, well let's clean this up. Clean this mating surface in here where the ring goes, and we'll put our new unit on. Time to install our new thermostat. And if you guys didn't think I would take a wire wheel to the old thermostat housing, then you're wrong. Here it is, nice and shiny. Let's go ahead and put our new thermostat in it and put it all back together. Do you think if I wire wheeled that thermostat housing that I wouldn't do the bolts that hold it on to? Jeez. There we have it, a new thermostat installed.